Hello, I'm Dan, the Lettings Director from the Property Centre in Taunton. Over the last few weeks, I've been speaking to a lot of vendors who have been trying to sell their property or perhaps thinking about going on the sales market. And because of the current state of the market, with things taking a little bit longer to sell and struggling a little bit, where interest rates have gone up and the market is a bit more competitive, they are considering potentially doing a let to buy. So this is basically where rather than selling your property, you keep the property and let it out to be able to move onwards. I wanted to do a video about this because it's an option not many people are aware that they might have. So this is a bit of an example as to what it might look like. So say, for instance, you bought a property here 5 years ago, you paid £200,000 for the property. You put 20% down with the mortgage, which is £40,000, leaving a mortgage borrowed of 160. You had the property over 5 years, you've done some home improvements, the market has moved up a little bit as well, and the current value of the property is £250,000. Now, you could opt to sell the property off and take £90,000 out once you have paid off the old mortgage of £160,000 and banked the £50,000 equity. What you could look to do is remortgage at the new value and rent the property out. This would give you a deposit and income, and it would allow you to keep the property. What that basically looks like is leaving a 20% deposit in of £50,000 and borrowing the additional £200,000 at a rate of 4.5% and an interest-only mortgage. That would be a monthly repayment of £750 per calendar month. And the property of that kind of thing will probably let for around £1,300 per calendar month. This gives you a gross profit of £550 per calendar month. And that's money that could be used to pay towards the new mortgage for an upsizing property, for instance. Now, some of the positives of doing that is it's faster. Letting a property can take a couple of weeks as opposed to selling, where it can be up to as much as 6 months, the average being sort of 8 to 12 weeks. More attractive buyer. So you essentially become a chain-free buyer because you purchasing on isn't reliant upon you selling a property. So you might be a bit more attractive as a buyer. It might mean that you can negotiate a little bit more money off the property that you're looking to upsize or move on to. Additional income, obviously letting the property out will provide some additional income of 550 gross profit. Typically, rents over time do go up as well, so that should track well with inflation over time and sort of move upwards. Less stressful conveyancing. You're not tying in the sale of your property to your purchase. So there's only one set of conveyancing that you have to worry about, which can make the process of buying on a little bit more streamlined. Now, there are some negatives. There is a risk of getting bad tenants. If tenants stop paying, all of a sudden that profit isn't there anymore, and you're sort of thinking about legal costs and court and that kind of thing. Higher stamp duty. You will fall into the bracket of having additional properties, and that will mean that you pay a higher stamp duty on your onward purchase. And there is some ongoing involvement if you opt to look after the property yourself. If you have an agent manage the property for you, obviously that is going to reduce the ongoing involvement. But if you do self-manage to maximize your profits, you might be getting phone calls from tenants, rent arrears, having to chase for rent, that kind of thing. It is a very viable option. The sales market is slowing down a little bit in general at the moment. The lettings market is absolutely insane. A lot of people are very surprised how easy it is to let a property, how much they'd get per calendar month, and this is a viable option to keep their property and still use it by remortgaging to have the deposit to buy on. If this is something that you're thinking about doing, perhaps you're thinking about upsizing and don't want the stress of having to tie in the sale of your property, or if you've been on the market and unsuccessfully haven't had a sale achieved, or perhaps you've got the property of your dreams secured as your onward purchase and your sale of your property has fallen through and you're looking for a bit of a lifeline and you'd like to discuss potentially doing a let to buy, please get in touch. I'd be more than happy to talk to you about what's involved with renting the property, the rental income, and we also work with the Levels Financial, who'd be able to give you any relevant mortgage advice about remortgaging and pulling money out.